recording again. Yeah, I think so.
Where you gonna upload them?
I don't really know. Maybe YouTube or
Has to be forever, isn't it?
or in the university, somewhere in the university. Segments. I'm just gonna make it slightly rounded. And fraction. And this is very useful because sometimes when you move, the fraction moves too fast. So change this, and that's gonna, make it slower. It's like reducing the intensity of the scroll. Okay, so that is one. Let's center the pivot. And now we said that I want to have a hole in here. So remember last time how we did it? We extruded the face, we gave it some offset, scaled it like this, scale these backwards because I'm getting this edge. So let's just select these two and chamfer them. I'm just looking at how many of these we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. We have 8. Let's just have 2 more. So we have 10, right? So just chamfer these. And now we select the face and we make it round. And we give it, let's see what is not radial offset. Yeah, that's what we want. I'm going to rotate a little bit and put it here maybe. The vertex, we go to target weld, and I want, these are hanging in the air vertices. You don't want to have them like this. And these ones the same. Select the face. Something like that. And we can actually go to add to vertices. So just control right click to vertices, to vertex parameter, and we can shift right click and chamfer them if you want to have a more circular and more perfect shape, but that's going to be a lot of vertices. I think it's too many because this is quite low poly, supposed to be. In here you can see there's a little bit of, it's not very, could have been better. You can see those lines here, those edges of the polygons. So it's like this is not low poly, it's kind of medium poly. It is low poly for games, but like for a modern generation PS5 game or something like that. So I extrude it a couple of times, move it up, extrude. I use R, so when you press R and you use shift, yeah, so I press R once and I'm in scale mode, and I use shift, hold, and you see what's happening is just extruding. And I use W with shift again, extrude it in. Maybe bevel these two. Go to object mode. Maybe it's not required to bevel, but anyway, just leave it like that. And so what else we need? We need a panel to open, like a opening panel here. That's going to open and it's going to have some settings, buttons, and stuff like that. We're not going to make the inside of the panel. It's going to take too long, but we're just going to make the. We're just going to use the multi-cut, and we're just going to give it and make it a sci-fi shape. Escape. I don't like that. Right click to complete that. Actually, I think it's better if I just select the whole face and I extrude it with offset. Bring it in. Select the face, extrude it inside. No, I'm gonna carve this a little bit because it's too simple. You know, it's a simple. So just make it more sci-fi. You know, angular and stuff. So again, I use multicut with clicking, click, and then Control Shift to make it to a 90-degree angle. And extrude the face and move it up. Extrude this face, give it some offset, extrude it again, bring it up. Like some small detail in there, not much. And maybe we can have like a black screen indicating the battery and or something like that.
So, Lucian,
yeah.
what made you enjoy doing hard surface the most? That is like your specialism, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm moving towards environment art now. But in the beginning, I think I was driven by Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
That what I made a cruiser in one summer. I made a, you know, like a cruiser, complete cruiser, and that's a lot of modeling. Trust me. Like this is a fighter. Like I don't know. Do you see it? This is a fighter that I'm working on. I've been working for some while, but then I made a cruiser, and I worked like almost straight to 12 hours each day.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, you know, just you need to do a lot of practice to get faster. And I keep on watching tutorials, to be honest. Like I don't stop because I know it doesn't mean I know. If that makes sense. If you think you know, then you're mistaken. You're clearly mistaken because that's not good. That confidence is rubbish.
Just so you guys know, Nishan is the guy to talk to if you have any questions about hard surface, because he has a lot of experience doing that. Have you showed them your work?
Maybe some of them might know it from our station.
Mm-hmm.
Vertex target weld. Okay, so I think it's quite decent. The screen might be made in Substance Painter or something like that. I'm not sure if I should just make it here. No, I'm just gonna make it here.
Guys, by the way, if you have any questions about your own project, if you're stuck on it, just
we can stop and do your.
This is very open, so if you're stuck at some point in your project, or if you don't want to interrupt Lucian, just send us a text in the troubleshooting.
Okay, so I think, Michael, that I'm close to being done here. Now, the thing that we're going to do next, I'm going to take this to ZBrush and I'm going to prepare it, you know, add some edgeware.
Mm-hmm.
Add some edgeware to this, and then maybe next week we can proceed and you know, texturing using Substance Paint and do some nice texturing. Maybe I can still add some stuff. I think I'm gonna carve it here. It looks a bit too flat, too linear. So I just make a Control-1 to isolate selector. Shift right click cube. Bring the cube up. So this cube is already set up at 0, 0, 0. So you can see I just moved it on the Y. That's up. Now I'm going to move it here and down. So I'm going to use a boolean to extract. So A minus B. So click and shift click, shift right click, booleans difference. And now I have that, and it's looking slightly better. Yeah. Now I just need to, every time you're using booleans, you need to start using target weld, because you're going to have a lot of hanging in the air vertices just floating. So you just want to fix that geometry. And you don't want to have those nasty n-gons. It's not really something here, because this is not a subdivision surface. For example, this is, if I press 3 or 1, that's 1. If I press 3 on it, you see that's a subdiv surface. And in order for this to work, I need to reinforce those edges. For example, let's just take a cube. And sometimes in the VFX industry, people will do subdivision ready. It's called subdiv ready, and it's going to be subdivided twice. So for example, I want to have this nice cube and I want to subdivide it. So let's just shift right click, smooth it twice. And this is how it's going to look like. That's a subdivided cube. Wow. Right? So let's just go back, Control Z a couple of times. Now what we need to do, we need to reinforce these edges either by using the multi-cut and go close to them like this on each side. That's one way. I'm going to show you another way. Okay, that's, so we reinforced all of them. Just go to object mode, shift right click again, smooth twice. And look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but you see the edges are nice and rounded. They're not sharp or anything. So, you know, VFX is all about that, like, you know, very good quality. Doesn't matter the number of polygons because it's pre-rendered. In the game industry is the opposite. You're gonna have to fake it by baking, by doing stuff like that. Or if I subdivide this, smooth it twice, it's gonna be a complete mess because I need to reinforce all these edges and it looks very mushy and doesn't look great. Control Z a couple of times. Anyway, so I think you kind of understand, like, subdividing a mesh twice or 3 times for VFX, for games, and for films, sorry. And for games, you cannot afford to have much geometry in there because maybe one.
Yep, especially in like VR. Everyone's saying that geometry, you can have as much geometry as you can now these days.
Yeah.
But
It's not true.
The platform is also changing. So you could be using VR, which requires, it's basically a phone running your game.
Yeah.
And even phone gaming is getting so big.
But you have Nintendo Switch, and you know, you need to be very effective, very efficient with the polygons, with the texture, with everything. Like modern day computers, they're fine. I don't know if you've seen the Unreal 5. That's gonna be, you know, something mind-blowing. Or the new map on Fortnite having some waters and stuff. Interesting stuff.
Next gen.
Yeah. So what else? Should we have some wires and stuff? I don't. No, let's just not keep it very complicated. So let's see how big, how we are with polygons right now. So number of polygons, if we go to display, heads up display, and we have poly count, and we have 3,000 triangles for a box. That's not so bad. 2,998. That's decent. Control 1. The bottom is deleted. Okay, I need to fix these. We're gonna take this to ZBrush, right? So we're gonna take this to ZBrush next. I think it's 12 o'clock. Are we for a break now? Because I spoke for 2 hours straight. Or is it 1 to 2 the break, or when is it, Michael?
No, we got 1 more hour. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Yeah.
Or if you have any
questions,
so you can give feedback or.
Yeah, questions will come eventually. So just grab a cube. So make a cube, shift right click, nothing selected, and start using the multi-cut on it, and click, right click to complete. You need to go back to an edge and right click to complete, and so on, and do this kind of stuff. Select the faces, use shift to extrude them in and out, shift right click, extrude them, try to extrude with offset, with divisions. Look at that. Shift right click again. So I just clicked and shift double click. Shift extrude, go in, go out. Yeah. Have fun. I mean, I think hard surface is really fun to just start from a box and make something cool. Like if you look, this whole mesh started from a couple of boxes. Like I just made 3, I think, and I kind of combined them and then just made them. So it's quite cool to start from a cube and make something like that. In the same way ZBrush works with, you start from a sphere and you make a, what do you have, Michael, there, a hut or something? What's that?
Yeah. I'm using this reference. I don't know if anyone else has seen this.
Okay, so now we have the box completed, and I want to get this inside ZBrush maybe. I'm just thinking if I should reinforce some of these edges before I send it there, because when I'm going to subdivide it in ZBrush, it's going to look like this. Obviously this is hanging in the air. Come on, man. Hey, Darth Vader. I'm just gonna blow my nose, man. I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
Okay, Darth Vader.
Okay, I'm gonna keep these. I'm gonna mail them to you. Yeah, coronavirus in purest. 199% pure.
Are you actually sick right now?
I don't know, maybe. But I don't worry because I cannot die. You know that.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what we can do with these ones. If we bevel them, what's gonna happen? Some something nasty. No, I think it's enough beveling. Let's just so I'm gonna make another copy of these. Right, I'm gonna actually, we're just gonna UV this automatically. Normally you have to UV them, you know, nice and manually. So for everybody, you know, if you don't know what UVing is, we're just gonna cover that in the future. But it's something like, it says, hey, I have these meshes and I want to paint on them. So in order to paint them, they need to be in a 2D flat plane. So create an automatic. I just click these and it's gonna cut these in small pieces so they can be painted or drawn upon. And this is pretty much what it means. Then we select all these UV shells. UV shell, I said, yeah. So just right click, UV shell. I mean UV editor. This is the UV editor here. So I selected my objects, all of them. I went to automatic in create, and that's don't worry about it, we're going to cover this later. And then I just need to do a layout. So layout is just going to arrange them nicely in this texture space, 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Okay. I think I just said, yeah. I'll just double click on this. So this is how it's going to look like. And you see there's 0 to 1, and this is the box, and this is going to be the texture. Like actually in we're going to texture it in something called Substance Painter. Close. Okay. So now that we have everything UV'd, nice. Actually this is not a good UV map, just so you know. It has a cover rate. So if we change this to heads up display, UV statistics, and percentage of used UV space, apply. So you see we get 62% used UV space. That's very bad, right? Like it means that this empty spaces in here. It's not good. It's not good at all. So we need to either arrange these UV shells manually, or I'm just gonna Alt B. I'm gonna use Alt B to change the background because it was too light for me. I'm gonna make some cuts. I just double click on these, shift right click, cut. I mean and also this, what's up with this one? UV shell. So just gonna try to cut these pieces smaller so they can cut. Anyway, well, that's not the. Whoa, what's this? That's very bad. Look at this. What is this? Oh, this one. Control 1. Okay, I see we have a problem here. There's a hanging in the air. That's a bad geometry. So because you can see it now here and here. Yeah, okay. It's good that we saw it. Just delete this stuff and delete these ones. I'm gonna deselect and delete. Is it not working? It doesn't want to go. So let's see what's happening here. Let's go to vertex. So we have a flying in the air vertex. I'm going to delete it, and apparently that solved the problem. But now we just need to fill the hole in here. Shift right click, fill hole, and select the face and poke it. Shift right click to poke. Yeah, always I use shift right click, and you can use control spacebar. Control spacebar, and that is called pro mode. So most of the time just maximize your space, because you're using shift right click and you don't have to go here in the poly modeling like here, you know, going on all these menus, it's a lot of them, or just going right here on the right. Okay, so let's just do another quick UV. So we have these three objects. Control 1, I think we press Control 1 here as well. I'm going to do another automatic. Okay, I think now it's better. And if I shift click on layout, I have this unfold 3D, and I use the stacking resolution of 4096, which means how well it's going to calculate, and this is the space between the pixels, right? So it's going to be 8 pixels between the shells, and between, basically each one of these is a shell, and you don't want to touch each other, and you don't want to overlap each other. So let's just do one iteration. Don't worry, we're going to cover these later, but just something that, like a short introduction of some sort. I think now it's much better. And this button shows if we have any compression or any bad UVs. Which, to be honest, I'm not really fond of these UVs, but okay, so now that we're done, we're gonna export this, and it's gonna say this is gonna be game ready. Actually, oh, problem. We have a big icon here. I'm gonna check this mesh one more time. Also, this one, there's a hanging vertex in the air here. And delete that one. Wait, just delete the edge. Okay, so now I said we want to take this to ZBrush. So
Want me to jump on that?
export selection. So we're just going to go File, Export Selection, where all the objects selected, and we're just going to make it like it's rough, you know, in a rough shape, with adding you know, some edge wear and stuff like that. I'm going to export it as an OBJ, because ZBrush doesn't, I don't think it works with FBX last time I checked, and call this SciFi crate for ZBrush. Now we have SciFi.
One question, Lucian. How do you isolate in Maya? You press something and you isolate the box from the handles and the panel?
Control 1. That is just
Control
whatever
1.
you have selected. Control 1.
Oh,
Can isolate that selection.
okay,
So
thank you.
select them all. Control 1. Because it's annoying to have, you know, you have all this stuff here, it's just distracting you. So we export it, and there's an material MTL and is this obj here. So we don't want the material. We don't really require the material. So I can delete it or great. So next, ZBrush. We're gonna let's just start a new ZBrush so we see how it's gonna look like. ZBrush. I just have an ancient computer from the Stone Age or something.
Have you tried using the remote?
Yeah, it's working, but it's not, you know, my thing. I don't like it, to be honest. So
No?
not for me. I'm picky.
Have you used your Wacom with it?
I don't think it's working because it's not a Wacom. It's Huion. So okay, so now just gonna document. We get this auto fit window size W size. It says here a new document. It's gonna make it maximize on all the screen. Now we want to import here on the right. On the desktop, we have this SciFi crate for ZBrush open. Quads and triangles. And let go. Once you let go, we need to go into edit mode. Otherwise, we can draw boxes here like that, which can be maybe something that you know, if you're an artist, you can do. Well, it looks very interesting, actually. Should do this more often. Control N. Make a drag another one, and then edit object. And now we are in edit mode. So what I was saying was that when we problem here. See, there's an n gone here. There's an n gone, which we haven't fixed. So let's just go back.
Did you remember what the n-gon is?
N gone. Oh, let me just stop the recording, and that's the